Nice to meet you, sir, again.
Sorry?
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sir. So, previously I asked the same question with Martin, sir. Uh, I just wanted to show you my UI vision because I wanted to discuss about the UI, how it's gonna implement.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. Excuse me. Let's start from the process-specific questions, and then then we will switch to project-specific ones, if you don't mind.
okay,
Thank you.
sure, sure.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're asking me, right? Like it is related to the project itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I missed some bits of the discussion. So let's just spend some time on whatever organizational questions, and if we have time left, we go to the project-specific discussion.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. So, does anybody have any organizational questions? Okay. If no, then we can deep dive to project ideas, etc. Okay.
Okay. May I
Sorry
start?
for interrupting you. Yep. Let's continue.
Okay, so I wanted to know the exact UI pattern of the project artifact promotion plugin. So I'll share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Is it visible, sir?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask that this new item section that we see here, when the new plugin is implemented, then where would it be placed? Like will it be placed alongside these projects, freestyle projects? There will be something like promotion of artifacts. Would it be placed at this particular place, or
Mm-hmm.
like the job we were actually creating the job,
Yeah, right.
a new job, right? So would it be placed alongside these projects, or
Mhm.
I
So,
don't
yeah,
I
so
don't see
generally
that.
you tell us, so it's a part of the design. You can do it in different ways.
okay?
My personal understanding was that it would be just a subtype of pipeline. So yeah, it would appear in this list unless you deliberately filter it out.
Okay, it would be placed in this place only.
Wouldn't it just be a property of a job pipeline, not a special type?
It would be a property in terms of configuration, how you invoke
Uh,
the promotion.
Excuse me, somebody is tapping their microphone.
Okay, I'll mute everybody. Mhm.
Um,
Okay. So there are two parts of the question. One is how it's being defined, and another one how it's being represented in Jenkins. So yeah, it would be great if you could define promotions and promotion logic directly in pipeline definitions
Okay.
or in declarative pipeline special sections. But in my understanding, it would still appear as a separate job type on
Okay.
the management page.
Since it is being mentioned that there should be a common standalone plugin, right? So it should stay in this place. And next question would be, sir, like whenever I go inside a certain project and go inside a particular build, right? So inside the configure section, we have this section, right? Promote builds when
Yeah.
this section, this would be migrated to that job, right? The new job.
As execution or as definition, because
I mean,
there
like,
are, so you can still define this promotion process inside your pipeline if you want. The
if I
question is,
want to make, okay, okay, all right,
yeah,
okay. I can also define this in the pipeline, or I can make a common job. That was what you meant.
mm, yeah, I'm not sure I get your question.
So this thing, promote build. So in this section would be migrated to the new job, if I'm not wrong.
So you can define it both ways. It depending on your preference, you can define it inside an existing pipeline as a property like Klaus suggested, or as a special clause, for example, in declarative pipeline, or you
Okay.
can define it in external job. So it's a matter of definition, and we rather expect you as a student to come up with proposal there. Both options are technically possible, and both options may find some users. So it's rather up to you to see how you would implement.
Okay, so both are fine. Either of those are fine.
Sorry?
Either, like, both of the options are fine. Like, I can implement any of them.
Yes.
Ola, can you elaborate on the reason to create a new type there?
So there is no reason to create a new type of job. There is architectural reason to have promotions as separate job entities. So like we were discussing yesterday, I believe, promotions currently are not well mapped into Jenkins job architecture. So what we would like is we would like to have promotions as separate job entities which map the current structure. So for example, there may be a folder or multi-branch pipeline, and inside this entity there is a common job definition. So you do not use hooks as item groups which are represented as job properties. But this is an architectural thing. If we talk about job types, etc., no, I do not think that it has to be a new job type, because if you talk about promotion support for pipeline, it would be rather expected that the promotion is also a pipeline.
It's a property that you kind of define in there, either as an automatic promotion or a manual promotion.
Yeah, right. But inside it will be still a pipeline code. It would be still executed as a separate job entity, or maybe as a separate run entity, depending on how you implement that. But it would be just a part of the architecture thing. Definition, as I tried to say, it may be different. So definition of promotion logic, it may be inside your original job. It may be defined in external job. It depends on how you implement it.
I could see the view part as a separate entity. It's kind of because it goes across the whole Jenkins, whereas the execution would be an extension of the current architecture. Does that make sense?
Maybe. So I think that we should really plan a separate meeting for this specific project, so that we could deep dive into architecture. So maybe if you guys have some time, we should take it offline and schedule a meeting like we do for other projects.
That's fair enough.
That would be great, sir. That would be a great help. So my next question is, sir, as your guidance, I read the release plugin. Since it's compatible with the pipeline, so I just read through all the code base, and what I found is in one of those classes inside the release plugin, like the release promotion condition.java, in this class, what it does is it extends a promotion condition, which happens to be the class of promoted build plugin. So this means that most of the classes which are inside the promotion build are compatible with the pipeline, but there are some which are not. So how do I distinguish between those which are compatible to those which are not?
So the rule of thumb is that if you see classes like abstract project or abstract build in the class, you can expect that this class or this method is not compatible with pipeline.
Okay, like promotion.java, promotion process.java, job property, these are not compatible because they've got abstract classes, like abstract builds, that's why.
Yes.
Am I correct? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, sir. Okay, next question is like, if abstract builds are not supported by pipelines, if abstract projects are not supported by pipelines, then what is the actual project type which is compatible with pipeline, which is supported by pipeline?
That's a tricky thing because pipeline is a separate project type. So yeah, it may be useful for the students as well. Yeah, probably I'll just share my screen if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably yeah, let's just try to time box a bit. But some model job Java document. Okay, so job is kind of top level entity for executable types. So job has methods like so it generally contains runs, and this runs somehow get there. So there are many implementations of jobs. If you see it here, you may see that there is abstract project, which is a part of job. So it's one of implementations of jobs. Another implementation is pipeline. It's on the same tree level. There are other project types, for example, inheritance project or other projects which inherit job type. So what it means is that these project types are really independent, and these are a part of the tree. All they share is this job interface and also all classes up to the hierarchy. So you may see that job implements abstract items, so that it may be a part of the item tree inside the Jenkins that is actionable. So it may contain actions and may persist actions, and yeah, that's it. But job is the basic definition which just yeah, it just applies for every job type in Jenkins. Same for runs.
Okay.
For runs, so there is the basic class called run, which is exactly the same.
Okay, so which exact build type would be supported from in the pipeline of the job type?
Pipeline,
Yes.
because pipeline is a separate job type.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see a use case for supporting jobs in general, so for example, supporting freestyle job as a promotion logic for pipeline, then you can definitely do that in your proposal if you feel it's reasonable. But yeah, our expectation would be that at least pipeline promotion logic is supported.
Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Okay, so next question is there's in the project proposal, it has mentioned that detach the existing promotion condition extension point and implementations from promoted builds plugin. What does that mean? So like getting rid of all the existing extension points of the plugin.
Yeah, well, so what it means is that, again, a common Jenkins architecture thing is that there are many API plugins. So plugins which provide shared functionality and being reused by other plugins. For example, promoted builds already includes extension points for defining promotion conditions. For example, manual promotion condition when somebody clicks a button or depends on whatever other event in Jenkins. There are maybe a dozen of implementations for this promotion condition. So the idea of this line is that if you create a API plugin and if you move reusable functionality out of promoted builds, then other plugins can consume this functionality without including the rest of the promoted builds code. So the idea of this bullet is that you just detach the plugins and effectively reuse the usable components of existing plugin.
Okay. So for the code part, which is to be implemented by the pipeline, I should mention the extension point in it, right? Like in a file, the class which is along with the at the rate extension point, it is read by the pipeline. That's the exact mechanism of how pipeline works, right, sir?
Mm, I'm not sure I get you.
Okay, okay. So last question, sir. Like you mentioned in your vision that in the properties section we must we can include the environment, like where the build is going to be deployed. And can we do that by using the existing fingerprint that is being used in the promotion build already?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
What,
Yeah,
what do you mean by deployed in this case here?
Meaning like certain builds after being promoted, they would be deployed into some sort of the next stage. They would be passed to the next stage. So just to track where it is being deployed, can we use fingerprinting? That was my question.
Yeah, so fingerprinting can be used for tracing of any dependencies between builds and between any kinds of artifacts within Jenkins. And yeah, you can use it here to track dependencies.
Okay. So last question is like, what would, like, if I need to refactor the codes, the classes which are not compatible to pipelines, what should be my, what should be my general approach? What should be my general approach to refactor them so that I could make them compatible with the pipeline? Like abstract, like I need to replace that with some other build type, or like promotion job, I need to change that. What should be my general approach to refactoring those codes?
Yeah, so again, general practice in Jenkins project with specifically promoted builds that we're interested to retain compatibility where possible. So if you see that you need to perform significant refactoring, there are ways to retain binary compatibility. There is a special wiki page which explains how to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you work on any project and if you need to do a massive change, it might be a page you want to start from. So Jenkins binary compatibility, I believe. Let's see. I'm not sure. Or retaining backward compatibility. So this would be one of the starting pages for you because it references several Jenkins-specific ways to retain compatibility. For example, when you change the data, when you remove a field or remove a method.
Okay.
But yeah, if you see a need to significantly change APIs, it's definitely something which will require significant design. And before doing that, yeah, see whether there are alternate options. It doesn't apply to only this project, it applies to all projects.
Okay. Like in one of the tutorials in the plugin development, I came across the fact that variable substitution that is not enabled by plugin. So there was an idiom that was given. So by including that, it can be made compatible with both form of projects from pipeline and freestyle. It mentioned something like that about the idiom of extension points. So would that be the exact tutorial?
Not sure. So yeah, again, when you have a specific question, you may see that it's not really effective to ask them on the call because sometimes it's hard to express what you need. And that's why we recommend using mailing lists or Gitter chats for that because it may be more effective in many cases.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so I propose to just take it offline because yeah, we have limited time
All
on the
right.
call. We have other students.
All right, sir.
Yeah, so if we have some time after the call, we can return back to that. But yeah, my proposal is to really rotate to other questions, and probably next time we will be just trying to turn box questions to 5 minutes, and we will be rotating between students so that
Okay.
we
Sure,
can.
sir. Sure.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you,
And,
sir.
again, let's see if we can discuss it a bit later.
So here's a. Can I share my screen right now? Okay.
Yeah, just do that.
Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. Wait a minute. Okay. So there are some questions concerning with AWS CFS support. So basically, in the cloud storage for external workspaces, I found some really confusing points of this idea. That is, there are some problems with AWS EFS support. The first one is it only runs with EC2 instances. So actually, it is highly integrated with the existing AWS EC2. And the second one is I think AWS wants their user to mount their EFS to EC2. Actually, when I created an EC2 instance, and I only need to run one command line to mount those one EFS to EC2. So if we want to Jenkins do the job for the user, it might be much harder than the user do itself. So there might not be much benefits to the user if they have to use Jenkins.
Yeah, it depends
So-
on how you implement EFS mapping. Because yeah, if we talk about use case when you provision an agent has EFS out of the box, then yes, you probably don't need to implement something specific. But imagine you need to provision EFS on demand within pipeline. For example, your pipeline reaches whatever massive testing stage or coverage, and it needs more data. In such case, you can use EFS APIs to get more data on your machine, but adding additional amount. One of the use cases. Another use case is still sharing EFS instances between machines, which can be also done inside external workspace manager plugin. So, for example, you need to pass workspace between multiple agents, and you use EFS to implement that.
And
So-
yes, okay,
Yeah.
you can continue.
Yeah, right. So I just provide my examples. And again, EFS there is just an example. So if you don't see much benefit of using EFS as a reference implementation, you may think about other implementations. Because
So
EFS was just provided as one of the examples which could be
Yeah.
used.
Yes, actually, I have discovered something interesting during the exploration of the AWS EFS. So I think that it is doable for AWS EFS, and there are an existing EFS support that is an EC2 plugin. So basically, I think the hardest part of implementing the EFS support is I need to get access to the user's access rights, right? I need to make my Jenkins as a user, so I need the credentials or usernames or something like that to log into their console. I think this is the most difficult part, but it's already done in the EC2 plugins. It's just in the EC2 plugin. This is a widely used plugin. So in this EC2 plugin, it has already implemented ways to get access to the console, and then through that console, we can send API. We can send a request to AWS, and so that includes create a EC2 instance, launch an EC2 instance, and maybe do other things that a normal user can do. So basically, if we really want to implement the EFS, we can make use some of the code of the EC2 plugin. I don't know if that is doable. If you have any
It's
ideas on that.
definitely doable, and there are multiple ways to do that. Firstly, you may want to declare dependency on EC2 plugin directly. So yeah, as we discussed before, there are extension points in Jenkins. These extension points may be mandatory, they may be optional. So for example, you can declare optional dependency on EC2 plugin with optional extension point implementations, so that you can still use external workspace manager plugin without EC2 if needed. Or there may be other ways, for example, moving shared functionality from EC2 to another plugin, like API plugin. For example, there is a plugin called AWS Credentials, which allows managing surprise AWS credentials. So maybe something could be done like that for EFS, just one of the examples. So yeah, if you really want to focus on EFS in your project, then it's nice that you discovered this EC2 plugin. The recommendation is to think how you integrate the things with each other. And it would be a great part of your project proposal if you explore this area and see how to actually do it together.
Okay, so actually, this sort leads to another idea here. Is that I think that if we want to support different cloud service providers, we need to offer an API plugin for those of all the for each of the cloud providers. I think that is a better practice, better design, because if any other plugins wants to use the API, they might not just need to access the cloud providers. So as you mentioned, and there is a AWS credential plugin. So I think that might be really helpful for this job, because if I can just use it, and then I can use something like maybe a dummy console to send requests to the AWS. So that would be more doable for me. If so basically, I think that is a way. So here's leads to another project idea. So, and as you mentioned in the original project ideas, I think there would be some cloud service providers in consider. Like, for example, Alibaba Cloud is a very good cloud service provider in China. So I think for as a Chinese, I would like to implement something for the Alibaba. And for me, I think the best way to support external workspace manager with a specific cloud service provider, and better to first of all, I have to implement it on cloud service provider API plugin, and then use a like here log into the cloud service provider and then issues requests. I think this would be a more doable design for all the kind of things. Like it the couple what we do in external workspace manager and log into the service provider. What do you think?
Yeah, it might be feasible design, and if you want to do such thing, you could also take a look at JClouds. So
What?
There is a project called Apache JClouds. It's effectively a set of libraries for working with different cloud platforms using unified APIs. I've pasted the link in the chat. So it might be one of items you would like to take a look if you want to go with this unified APIs idea.
And so here, since the discussion is over, I would like to I want to consolidate on which one we really want to do, because in the proposals, I'm not sure which one is better. So if anyone can give me some suggestions, like how do I gonna implement, for example, AWS EFS support in the external workspace manager from the choices I mentioned above?
And if I set my piece, maybe Alex or Martin would like to add something, or maybe anybody else.
I'm not very sure I did understand the question, so can you quickly repeat, please?
So basically, there is two ways to support AWS EFS support. The first one is I write the code that log into the cloud service provider. That is, I become a user of the AWS and write this part of code in external workspace manager code base. And that's design. But if we want to support multiple cloud providers, the cloud base of the external workspace manager will become really large. And the other solution is I first write AWS or some other cloud providers API plugin. So that offers me the function to log into cloud or service to act as a cloud user. And then I can use those API plugins to send actual requests, send specific requests to the cloud providers. And I think that is a more clean design of it. Which one do you think is better?
Yeah, I also agree with you. I think the second one is clear because you actually decouple the logic from the XWS plugin with the actual logging and credentials and stuff like that in another plugin. But I'm wondering if you can integrate this somehow with what Oleg mentioned earlier with the AWS credentials plugin or something like this. I'm not very sure if they can be integrated together somehow. So that you don't need to actually write another plugin. You can just rely on that plugin to use the credentials for the AWS. But the main idea is that separating these, I think it would be a better idea than just having the code inside the external workspace manager plugin.
Yes, for AWS EFS, I might have already an existing plugins to use, but for other cloud providers, maybe Alibaba Media Azure or something like that, I might need to write write different. Maybe I need to write different plugins or use the Oracle, the JWT. I'm not sure what it is, but just as Oleg mentioned, it looks like it can offer a uniform API to all the cloud service providers. So I think that would be after investigation. I can maybe clarify it in my proposals. So here's another question. So can I just write those ideas in the same proposals in the cloud space, cloud storage support for external workspace? So in this project ideas, or do I need to write individual project ideas?
I would say that you should write in the same document, but maybe Oleg knows how this should be done best. But you could write like your ideas and say that, okay, if we want additional cloud storage with different providers, then we can we should write this plugin, and then you write details about the plugin you would like to additionally implement. That's what I would say. So I would say it should be in the same document, but I'm not very strict with this.
Okay.
Fine with me.
What do you think, Oleg?
Yeah, I think that if you have such multiple ideas in your project proposal, so what we need is to actually understand what would be your approach. So, for example, how you start exploration, how you make decisions. For example, you can say that during the community bonding and first coding phase, you implement something generic, and then you have a decision-making point where you decide with which option you proceed. So as long as it's traceable as a project, it's perfectly fine to have optional conditions in the proposal.
Okay. So maybe like if time permits, I'm gonna do this sort of stuff. Yes, right. I think that is a good part. So it really helped me a lot because I really don't know which one to. I don't know how to. I cannot concretely ideas in my mind. So today is better. So if anyone has got any another questions, please go on. I'm done with my questions.
Okay, thank you. So, any other questions? Okay, so Natasha left the call. So, yeah, I'll just think in the chat if there is no questions, we could probably close down.
Okay, so like, can I ask question if no one have any other question?
Okay.
Yeah, so probably I need to share my screen.
Okay.
I hope it's visible.
It is.
Yeah, so like in the previous question, one doubt was created regarding this point, that whether by implementing this point, can we discard both workspaces and builds, or we can only just discard the builds only by using the information through fingerprinting. So I think I and Martin sir were discussing, and like we both uh, like I was a little bit confused regarding this.
Maybe I can give a bit of context and continue from there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
So Oleg, last session we have discussed also with Martin, and we have suggested that so external workspace manager plugin is integrated with fingerprints. So if you get the fingerprint for a specific workspace, you have all the information you need to actually delete that workspace. So Martin and I suggested to make use of these fingerprints to be able to integrate with the discard plugin and be able to delete the workspace. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, but I think like from getting the workspace path and all that, we can also get some information about the builds, like uh, the build information, right? So like what my question is that uh, can we just discard the builds using that information, or we need to go through another path for discarding the builds uh, which are going on in these multiple workspaces?
The thing is, I don't know how the discard plugin works, but I would assume that you just give that plugin a path and
Yeah, so
is able to just.
uh, yeah, so like I'll just give an overview that the delete method, which is currently used by the log rotator, what does it do is like it first of all fetches the path of the root directory, and by getting that root directory, it uses some logic, and it just discards the builds. So what I thought is that by fingerprinting we can definitely discard workspaces, but we can also get the path of its root directory, and by using that we can just reach to that build, and we can discard that build too.
Yes. So
Yeah, so I think that here the main idea would be to discuss workspaces, of course. Workspace discarding builds generally not the main purpose of this plugin. Yes, you can do that, but if you talk about external workspace logic specifically, it will be only discarding workspaces. And for builds, it should be nhook. So when something decides to discard the build, this process happens, and then there will be invocation for discarding workspaces, as we discussed before, as a listener, and then you will be discarding workspaces as a part of a build discard procedure. But yeah, if you talk about specific part for external workspace manager integration, I would expect it to be managing only workspaces, because the build deletion will be handled on a high level.
Okay, so like for a specific implementation with the external workspace manager, you suggest of discarding only the workspaces, not builds right now. Yeah, it can be done, but at a higher level, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just include the okay, so like according to this point, the workspaces will be discarded according to the user. So I think this point is much more clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Martin, sir, I think this comment can be resolved, right?
Right. I wanted to make sure that the understanding was correct. Workspaces do not contain builds. It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's build objects that have references to workspaces ultimately.
Yeah, okay. So I'll just resolve it. Okay. And the one more point which I need to discuss with you, Oleg sir, is that okay, yeah. So your comment regarding to this feature which I mentioned, according to me. So actually, what I meant by this is that I wanted to add a feature like some type of recycle bin, where if due to some user mistakes, a few of the builds get discarded which were important, but and now if once they're discarded, and if a particular user wants some information regarding that, so by adding this feature it can be accessed. So yeah, so definitely I've written that if time permits and if all my other features gets completed, then I will try to implement this. So so like here you have just commented that it might be preferable to have it on a higher level outside this plugin. So yeah, definitely it's right, but I have just added few points regarding to this in the like in this extra feature part, that maybe this uh, can be worked for that.
One comment to discarding workspaces. The current Git plugin is using workspaces for triggering if you have wildcards there. Wouldn't that be a problem if you discard the workspace? Then it will trigger itself again.
Oh, yeah. So like at that time, workspace would be treated, but like what I am suggesting is like a feature like trash bin, where for some hours, some details of the discarded builds or workspaces can be available for the user. So like in any case of emergency, or like due to some like due to any mistake, if anyone wants any information regarding that, then we can just provide the user that facility.
Well, actually, I don't know historically why it needs the workspace for triggering if it's wildcarded, but it probably need to be looked at so we don't get into a continuing triggering and deleting workspace, etc.
uh, okay, yeah, so like I'll just have a look on it.
So
And
the current Git plugin will use the workspace for polling or fetching from the remote server in order to figure out if there is a new commit, for example. And if you're, and then it will also trigger if it doesn't have workspace. So the first time you configure it, it will actually restore a workspace. So if you're then deleting it, then basically you're keep infinite loop of builds.
okay, yeah, okay, I just got that. Yeah, okay, so like I'll just have a look on it once more. And yeah, one more thing clarify with Oleg sir, that he has commented here that why I have mentioned the data structures point in the proposal. So, Alexa, what I meant was that first of all,
Yes.
yeah. So, like,
Maybe it would be more efficient if you give me some time to process your feedback.
yeah, okay, sure, no problem.
Because I haven't taken a look at your proposal yet. I'll try to do it tomorrow on Friday. Yeah, I can guarantee that. I'll try to review it though.
Yeah. So, like, sir, like, I'll just mention like there are a few changes needed in the proposal. So like I'll just do it by 1 or 2 days, and then I'll just add a message in the Gitter chat room of that GSoC build discarder to for review. So at that time, you can review the latest proposal of mine.
Okay.
Okay, and one more doubt that regardless of giving these proposals for review to the mentors in a specific Gitter chat room, where should I post my document link so that any mentors or is anyone from the community can give comments or few suggestions or
Yes.
few suggestions.
So yeah, if you want to ask something specific to development, the best way to do that is to ask on the Jenkins developer mailing list. Or if you have specific questions not related to your project directly, there is also Jenkins Gitter channel, there is IRC channel, so you can use these generic resources in order to ask common questions. It would be my recommendation if you want to have more people participating in the review.
Yeah, okay, sure. So, like, I'll just post my link, like after my final proposal, after your 1 or 2 reviews and after all the changes, I'll just post the link in the two mailing list. One will be the GSoC open for all mailing list, and second will be the developer mailing list, so that the mentors or the community, can just go through the proposal and I can get more and more reviews.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Okay. So, are there any other questions left? Okay, I guess not. So we have a few minutes left. So if there are any topics to discuss, yeah, we have several mentors on the call. Maybe we can briefly do that. If no, let's just proceed in Gitter chat. Because yeah, as I said in the chat, I will think how to improve the communication at these Q&A meetings. Because yeah, probably we need to somehow time box the questions, and yeah, we should really do the most of technical discussions in the mailing lists or in Gitter channels, because yeah, now yeah, it may be complicated. Some people like the context, so yeah, it could be more efficient.
Yeah, sure. And Alexa, one more request that so like if you just see that any other section needs to be present in my proposal, then please just inform me so that I can add that section. Like uh, like in my proposal I have taken care for most of the sections, like my personal information and synopsis, project description, timelines and all that, but and my working time commitments and all that, but like if you
Well,
find
it's
that.
already 15 pages. We don't really want to submit proposals in several editions. So
Okay.
I think that critical sessions are addressed there. If you want to add something, feel free to do that. But yeah, as I said before, usually proposals are from 2 to 5 pages. So when you go beyond, yeah, most likely it's about additional information you put to appendix.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so like I'll just go through it once, and I'll just remove the information which is not much more relevant to the so that the size can be reduced.
Okay. So if there is no other questions, thanks everybody for participating. And again, we have chats, we have other public resources, and see you there.
You. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Okay, see
yeah.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.